We're back again at Netroots Nation in Austin. I'm with Darcy Burner, who's a candidate for House of Representatives in Washington's 8th District. She's running against the incumbent Dave Reichert. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
You ran in 2006 in what was a very hotly contested race.
I did, it's true.
Tell me a little bit about that race, how close it was, and what's different about this year's race versus the one 2 years ago.
Well, it was a phenomenal race. We actually, it was a very, very grassroots-driven campaign. We had gone from the ground up to try to turn the district into a competitive district, to turn the race into a competitive race. It wasn't one of the early targets from the party, for example. And we did a phenomenal job. I mean, the number of people who pitched in, people-powered politics at its finest. And we actually came to within about 5 voters per precinct. It was close enough that we didn't know for a week who had won the election. So I'm actually really proud of what we accomplished in 2006. This year, the response from people, the level of participation, the level of excitement, the number of things they're doing is unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, the number of people who are participating in the caucuses, the people who show up every week to phone bank in my office, to reach out to voters, to walk precincts, is just unbelievable. And it's having a huge impact.
And is that particular to the fact that you got attention last time around, so people are more familiar with you? Is it tied to the presidential race, which has ginned up so much excitement? What's the orient?
I think it's all of those things. I mean, people know who I am. I'm a much more known quantity. They have a real sense of what drives me and why they would want me to be their representative. And so that level of enthusiasm is certainly increased. And we have this incredibly exciting presidential race this year with so much at stake and such stark differences between the two candidates that, that's driving a tremendous amount of excitement and energy that flows down the ticket as well. There was
a lot of resentment, maybe the right word, maybe anger, last time around that the National Democrats didn't give enough attention to your race. Is that a fair assessment? That there was some concern then that if such a close race, if National Democrats had gotten involved sooner and done more, that it might have made the difference?
Well, I think that some of what was going on last time, to be honest, was that the Democrats saw the number of races in play, right, the size of the playing field, increase from the 15 races that they were expecting it to be to about 50 races by the time that we were done, because of the work that the people on the ground and in the grassroots had done. And increasing the playing field to 50 meant that we were able to pick up more than 30 seats, which is phenomenal. Did we come incredibly close in those other seats? Yes. You know, is this like a chess game in which sometimes you sacrifice some pieces in order to pick up others? Yeah. Do I think we could have won if we had had more national support? Maybe. But
so what's it like this time around? Is the DCCC there? Are they giving you what you need?
The DCCC is being fantastic.
Okay. So you're getting all the support you need?
So far, so good.
And you're one of the targeted races that they've really set out to make sure has the resources it needs to.
Exactly.
And then personally, you've had more trials and tribulations than most candidates have to deal with. Your house just burned down within the last, few weeks?
It did, on the 1st of July.
And so are you, I mean, there's been a lot of outpouring of support for you in that respect too, locally, I've understood.
There has. Oh, and it has meant so much to know how much the community is there for me. I think more than anything else, the fire has really reinforced for me how important my family and my friends and my community are.
And how has that manifested itself? What's been happening?
Well, I mean, it's everything from the messages of condolence to when we left the house. So the fire started in my son's room, and he woke up, and he had been sleeping in a T-shirt and underwear, right? And he ran into our room, and he was like, "My room is on fire." And we were all asleep. He's 5. Okay. And I woke up and saw the smoke and, had this single-minded focus, get Henry out of the house. So I grabbed him up. I'm wearing what I was sleeping in. Henry's wearing what he was sleeping in. I run to the front door. I grabbed my cell phone on the way out to dial 911, right? And that was it. That's what we had when we left the house, right? The clothes we were sleeping in and my cell phone, because I used it to dial 911. And the neighbors, right, were immediately incredibly supportive. They took us in. They, offered to let us stay at their houses. they, the neighbors who live across the street in Kitty Corner have a son who's a little older than Henry, and they saw that he wasn't wearing, pants or shoes or socks, and so they brought over, pants and socks and shoes for Henry so that he would have something. And I know that sounds like a little thing, but it meant so much at the time because I was feeling so protective of him at that point, and I was just like, oh God, I don't want anything to happen to his feet, and obviously the outpouring of support for the campaign to allow me to concentrate, to focus on, getting a house rented and buying new socks for everyone in my family and replacing our toothbrushes and all of those hoops that we've had to jump through to just get our lives back in order. To be able to do that and know that the campaign was going to be okay when I got back has meant a huge amount.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Of course, my pleasure.
We're with Darcy Burner, who's running for House of Representatives in Washington's 8th District. This is TPM Media. I'm David Kurtz.